So if you think about anything you write, absolutely anything you write at school, so a piece of homework, a piece of classwork, anything you physically write or type has two elements, the literacy side and the content side. And we've talked about that. Chas has just talked about that. And yesterday I showed you on Word how, if you use Word, you get help with sentence structure because it tells you, oh, you need more nouns or adverbs or the adverbs, what's the other word? Adjectives. It kind of helps you because you see you need different colors in your sentences. You get spelling check. You can even have the different options read aloud to you. You get help with grammar. You can listen to it back. Does it sound right? And you get help with vocabulary because you can look at synonyms and thesaurus, so you can get better vocabulary. So we know that typing will help us overcome all these difficulties. And I use neurodiverse and neuroatypical. I'm swapping between them because they're the same thing, but I want you to get used to hearing them because I want you to be able to say to people, well, actually, I'm neuroatypical. That's not how my brain works. And explain to people because a lot of teachers don't really understand this, and you're going to end up knowing more than they do. Now, we also talked about the content side is what we tend to be good at, but there aren't many technologies that can help you improve the content. That's more what's in your brain. It's not getting it out. Technology is normally about getting it out. But there is one thing that technology can do to help you improve the content of what you write. And it's really sad because a lot of dyslexics aren't very good at this. And that's why I'm including this here. So reading for pleasure is one of the things that will really, really, really help you to improve the content. And I'm going to try and explain that why, but I'm also going to introduce you or tell you about technologies that will help you enjoy reading. And some of you will be thinking, well, I already enjoy reading, there's no point. Well, that's great. If you already enjoy reading, I'm delighted for you. You might still find things here that you'd like to use, but if you don't enjoy reading, really listen up because I'm hoping to give you some inspiration, and I'm going to send your parents some videos that we won't have time to watch together now, but if you watch them with your parents, you might get some great ideas for how you can read for pleasure. So I've got a quick question for you first. Which student do you think will get the best qualifications? Student one, who learned to read really, really easy. One of these children that by 4 could read all the Biff and Chick books, and by 6 could read chapter books. They could read Harry Potter. Or student 2, who reads a lot for pleasure. What does evidence tell us will do the best? So if you can tell me in the chat, and I can't see the chat at the moment, so I better start seeing the chat. Do you think it's 1 or 2? Goodness,
We're
everyone's
getting
saying 2. Now, if you'd have asked me, and I'm sort of talking as a mother with 3 children, I'd have said the child that reads easily is probably going to go on and get lots and lots of brilliant qualifications. But all the evidence tells us that students that read for pleasure do better academically. And this really shocked me when I learned this. And I learned this when I was a teacher. I didn't know this before I was a teacher. So here we go. Let's have a look why. If you think, we looked at Amelia's year 6 report, and then we looked at her actual GCSE results, and we saw that she went from being pretty rubbish to being an absolute A-star excellent student. And I want to ask you, what do you think helped her go from this to this, from satisfactory to A-star 100%? And I'm going to tell you, because we haven't got lots of time, it's because she read for pleasure. She only started in year 8. She was late to the party, but she started listening to audiobooks at year 8. And she just started to really go through them. And then she started going on to Kindle books because she found that her reading improved. And she just became a sponge for understanding what's going on in the world and understanding people and being able to put herself in other people's positions because she read so much. So I've got a question for you guys. How do you read for pleasure? Give me a yes, a no, never. You know, there must be, try not to write on my slides. So we've got yeses. We've got a lot of yeses, Mia's and never. That's more my kids. They were all nevers. No, rarely. No. So we've got a mix here sometimes. No, says Arabella. It's very normal in a group like this to have a real mix. And I'm absolutely fine with that. But I'm going to try to encourage, not in a million years. Yeah, like that. I'm hoping for all of those that give me the no, 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 never, not in a million years. I'm hoping I can persuade you to start reading for pleasure because you're at the beginning of the summer holidays. So it's a time when you've actually got some time and you could devote some time to this. So let's have a look. Right. If a student finds learning to read hard, they associate reading with pain, not pleasure. So it makes sense that they're going to avoid reading at all costs because it's hard work. But these are the benefits of reading for pleasure. And there's loads and loads and loads of words on this. And I'm not even going to try to read them all because it's too boring. But reading for pleasure improves lots of things. So vocabulary, decoding, spelling, creativity. Now, let's just think about creativity. When you watch a film, when you play a game on a computer, someone's done all the creativity for you. They've designed what the trees look like, what the people looks like, what the ground looks like, what the sky looks like, how the aeroplanes work, what the pets look like. But when you're reading a book, you're creating it yourself and you're making all these connections and your brain is working in a different way. It helps you understand where other people are coming from. That's why it helps your knowledge of the world and understanding how other people think and tick. And that means you'll work better in a group. You'll be better at inspiring people, at motivating other people. Because if you didn't read a book, you would think everybody in the world thought the same way as you. And it really helps you to understand so much more. The other thing it helps you is being able to express yourselves. And I think as people who learning doesn't come naturally, and we're in an environment where everyone else finds things easier than we do, being able to express yourself to say, actually, I'm dyslexic or I have ADHD, and I find that very difficult, but it would really help me if you could do this. That simple conversation could change so much for you. And yet reading for pleasure will help you with those skills. And it absolutely reduces anxiety. When I'm feeling like, oh my goodness, my brain is full, I can't do another thing, just leave me alone. If I just go for a walk, in my head, everything's still going round. And I do think for ADHD people particularly, but I think dyslexics as well, our brains are always whirring and whirring and whirring around. I listen to a book and I forget everything else that's going on. Now, that's not just any book. Is that background noise getting really annoying? Can you hear the back? Oh, good, because I can really hear it. I'm going to close the windows. There's somebody obviously doing some building work outside. So Caspian saying that's true for me. If you're somebody that your head is whirring around, if you listen to a book, it transports you to that place. And you don't worry about things because you get completely caught up in that story. Now, if it's a boring story, it's not going to do it. If it's too young for you, it's not going to do it. If it's too advanced for you and it's using words you don't understand, it's not going to do it. You've got to find the stories that really captivate you and interest you. And that might mean reading the odd rubbish book and thinking, no, I don't like that. But that doesn't mean you'll never like reading for pleasure. It means we've got to help you find the right book. So I cannot tell you, I cannot stress more how important it is to read for pleasure. But I also want to think about, we looked at quality of writing and how you've got the literacy element and you've got the content element. But let's think about when we read for pleasure and we looked at those benefits. we've got literacy benefits and we've got non-literacy benefits. And there are far more non-literacy benefits to do with self-expression and relaxation. It even improves attainment in numeracy. I don't understand that, but that is what evidence shows. But these are all the literacy sides. And if we think, well, okay, if I listen to a book rather than read it, so Americans call it ear reading as opposed to eye reading. I think that's a bit strange. But listening to a book, if you do that, then you still get all these benefits. You don't get any benefits of decoding. So you're not going to improve your decoding. You're not going to improve your spelling. But all the other benefits you still get. And considering that we struggle with these literacy skills, anything we can do to improve our vocabulary, our sentence structure, our grammar, our plot development is really worth doing. And if you can do it without having to decode words and really having to work hard, why not give it a try? I really think it is worth. Now, how can we make it better? Well, let's have a look at this. It's about how we read, and it's about what we read. So I think listening to books is the best thing ever. So that's audiobooks. And can I ask you, do any of you listen to audiobooks at the moment? Can you give me a yes or a no? Yes or a no? So we've got a yes from Zach and a no from Isis. Yes, no, Emily, no. Right, so I want to try and give you the challenge, guys, of listen to a book over the holiday. Sometimes on a long car journey, they are fab. I have driven all the way to Liverpool. I've been in the car for 4.5 hours. I get to the end of my parents' road and I think, I'll just go around the block to listen to this chapter because I don't want to get to them before the chapter ends. But it is really, really worthwhile. But something else you can do is called immersive reading. And I don't really have the time to show it to you now. But immersive reader is where you listen to the audiobook at the same time as having each word read to you by the author, not an electronic voice. So if you're listening to Harry Potter, it will be the actor reading it to you. If you listen to a David Walliams book, it will be David Walliams reading it to you. And it's so enjoyable to hear the actor and then follow along. So if you're doing that, you are improving your decoding and you are improving your spelling, but you're not having to work out words when you can't read them because the author's read them. So the words that you do know, you can read easily, and the words that you don't know, he helps you with straight away. So I really want you to check out immersive reading, and I'm going to send your parents a video of it so you can see what it looks like. In fact, I might try to find one quickly now because we're getting through this quicker than I thought we had. The other thing that I think helps is deciding what you read. So if you get a book and you listen to it and you don't like it, it's really good to think, okay, let's verbalize why I didn't like it. So think, well, it was too slow. I didn't like the characters. I personally, if I don't like any of the characters, I don't like the book. You know, so that there are, if everyone's evil, if everyone's out to hurt other people, doesn't matter how interesting it is, it doesn't matter how well it's described, I don't like it. So I would say work out why you don't like it. But I'm going to send your parents a whole lot of information about books that have the main character as someone who's dyslexic or has got ADHD or is autistic, because I think it's really, really nice to read about people who are like us and have our view of the world and go on to do great things. So I think that's really inspiring. So I'm going to send your parents a whole lot of stuff about that. But the other thing is graphic novels. If all that dense text just seems too much, then that's fine. Look at a graphic novel and start enjoying a graphic novel. A graphic novel is a bit like a cartoon where it's pictures and each picture has something written underneath it that you have to read. That's absolutely fine as well. And this is different technology. that will help you enjoy reading. So there's e-readers, and that means, well, basically I can read on my phone, or I can read. This is a Kindle, and I can read on this. This is a Kindle Fire. So there's so many different ways you can read. And if it's on your phone or a Kindle, it's not this big, thick book that puts you off. It makes life a lot easier. And if it's in an e-reader, you can change the font, you can change the background color, you can have it read aloud to you on an e-reader. But that isn't the author's voice. That is just an electronic voice. But it's a good electronic voice. If you go by the way of audiobooks, you can get them free from the library. And Evelyn and I went into the library on Saturday, and I got her to record what it took for her to create a free Libby account in the library. And it's this little video, it's less than 2 minutes, and I'll send it to you so you can go to your library and you can start getting out audiobooks. Because if you don't know what you like, it's nice not to pay for it. It's nice to listen and go, nah, I don't like that. Give it back to the library, try another one. So while you're figuring out what you like, libraries are great. Or you can buy them from Audible. And a lot of you might already have Audible accounts. But if you haven't, I'm sending your parents a free trial for a month or a 3-month trial for £3. And if you're not already signed in with Audible, as me and my family are, there's another service called Scribd, which is a little bit cheaper and it's a bit different. But if you've already got Amazon Prime, then it kind of makes sense to get Audible. If you haven't, then Scribd is really good. I have both because I listen to so many books. I have both. And also having books read to you, and that's where this immersive reading is, or read along books. And I have, and we're doing good on time. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to show you 2 things. I'm going to do it slightly out of order, but can you remember?
Caroline,
Yep.
Caroline, just to let people know, I discovered something recently on BorrowBox, which I absolutely love. If you think you might like a book, you can actually just click preview and you get to hear 3 minutes of the book. It's a really good way of finding out if you like it or not.
I'm so glad you said that. And I think Audible does the same. You can listen to the first 5 minutes. I don't think you can do it on Libby. So I'll find out whether you can do that on Libby. Libby is the free library app. But when I was in there, they said, oh, and you should download BorrowBox as well, because they have different books. But everything I looked at in BorrowBox wasn't available for ages. So it's worth having both of them. And you can do it on Libby, Zach's just told us. Thank you, Zach. So that's great. Now, I'm going to not do this one. I'm going to come back to this. And I'm just going to give you a quick sample of a read-along book. So this is the reader sample. And I happen to have picked one from Star Wars. So that will switch some of you off straight away. But for some of you, this might look fab. My son loves Star Wars. And I'm going to say, let's read along. And then we're going to say here, read along.
Hello, I am C-3PO, and you are about to listen to the story of Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. You can also read along with the story.
Can you see that it's highlighting every word as he says it? So it sort of captures your eye. I don't know how well you see that, but have a look for the yellow highlight.
In your book. Unless you are already programmed to know when the pages end, you will know it is time to turn the page when you hear this sound. I believe the storyteller is ready, so let us begin.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Luke Skywalker had returned home to Tatooine.
So I think that's enough of that. But you get an idea. It says, turn the page when we make this noise. So even if you like stop following along, it helps you. And it's got all the voices, it's got the music, it's free in the library. Now, the trouble with things like this is they tend to be out a long time. So you have to book them in advance. But there are things that you can purchase, you can buy that do similar things as well. And that's what immersive reader is like. It has the voices of the actors, not a tinny voice. So we looked the other day at Jamie Oliver, didn't we? We did that on day 1, I think. Let me go back to here. And he is the 2nd most published UK author, and yet he's very dyslexic and he had a really difficult time at school. I remember I got thrown off. Did I actually show the video of Jamie Oliver on Monday, Tressa?
You did, but it was lagging a great deal. Remember, you had to do it on your laptop.
I think, well, no, I'm going to send you these so you can watch them at home, because we're going to run out of time. But this video is all about Jamie's doing a book signing, and he's telling you what different people have said about his book, which is, you know, it's really interesting. So this might be a good first book to get. I don't think you get it from the library. I think you'd need to get it from Audible. But the lovely thing about it is you could get it on the free trial, so you don't have to pay for it. And this is him being interviewed about it. And it's just a lovely interview. And he talks about how hard school was. And yet here he is, a very, 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 very successful man. And he's now writing these children's books to encourage children that were like him, that found school difficult. So I am going to send you those videos. What is the book called? I'm glad you asked that. There it is. So he's got 2 now. This is the first one, Billy and the Giant Adventure, the first children's book from Jamie Oliver. But he's got a second one now as well. And he's talking about the second one in this video. And to buy the paperback is £6.49, but you could get it free from Audible if you start a free trial. If you've already got Audible, then that is not the case, unfortunately. You have to use one of your credits, but yeah, that costs £7 or £7.99 or something like that. But I do think that might be a really, really good book to listen to, and I will send your parents all this information, so you will have it by the end of today. You'll have all of this information. So that is everything. Wow, is that everything? No, I was going to just say one more thing. Oh no, I did not mean to do that. We've got the teachers coming on now, and I'm a little tiny bit behind, but I will get on top now. So what? I'm going to ask you to try to read for pleasure this week. Get an audiobook from the library. Use Alexa. Do you have an Alexa? Watch this. Alexa, read my audiobook.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming Look Closer. Clean around here. Pretty trees hanging over the streets.
Alexa, stop.
Big house.
So you can just tell Alexa to read your audiobook for you. So when I'm tidying up the kitchen, I say, Alexa, and she reads my book to me and it doesn't use up all my phone battery, which is great. When I'm out walking, I listen to it on my phone with earbuds in. So I've tried to use Alexa. Get an ebook. And when you've watched this video, learn how you can change ebooks to make them easier to read, or try immersive reading from Audible, and I will send your parents stuff on that. So I hope you are now inspired to try to read for pleasure.